Today I'm making something really fun, and these are Santa hat cake pops. And here are the ingredients that we need. So I have white cake here. This is a peppermint cake that I made in another recipe. I'll put a link to that at the end. I'm using buttercream icing, and I just made this. This is Wilton's buttercream icing. I'll put a link to that as well. We need some little lollipop sticks or candy pop sticks that you can find at most craft stores. I also have some jelly beans here, holiday themed jelly beans. And here what I have, I've just taken some of the white and I've cut them right in half with a knife, and we're going to use those for the top of the Santa hats. I also have red, white, and green chocolate. All of these are actually candy melts, so that's going to be, we're going to use that as well in this recipe. And I also have some white sugar here. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my cake and I'm just going to pop in the cake into our KitchenAid mixing bowl. And for this here, I don't have any precise measurement. What I want you to do is just take whatever cake that you have. If you want to make the cake that I made in another video, and you can take roughly half of that and do what I'm doing here. You can make different recipes with it, but I'm not measuring this. What you just want to do is take as much cake as you want. I've got quite a bit left here. I'm not going to do a lot of these Santa hats, but I'll just put enough in here so I know that I've got enough in here. So I'm just cutting the cake over here into little cubes just to help the mixture. So there we go. Alright, so I've got a bit of cake in there. I didn't actually measure it, I mean. So I've got a little piece left here. Alright, so that's almost half the cake. You know, maybe 2/3 of that cake. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in our buttercream. And this is the Wilton buttercream recipe that I'm using today. And the reason why we're adding this in is we want to get this all nice and moist enough so that it actually sticks together. So at first here, I'm just going to put in a little bit, and we're just going to see, I'm not measuring this out, I'm just putting a few glumps, little, you know, a couple of little bunches in there. We'll get this on the machine. Alright. Now in another video, I used a hand mixer, but today I'm using this, but you can use whatever you have. And if you don't have a mixer, you can still do it. You can put it in a bowl and just break it up, cut the cake into much smaller pieces than I have here, you know, just to make it easier, and then put a little bit of icing, and then basically you just want to, you know, just get your hands in there and just mix it around, kind of like, this is exactly like making meatballs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my machine going here. And I just want to break all of the pieces down, and I want to get everything well incorporated so that we have something that we can form together into a little ball. So I'm just going to let this go for a bit, and I'll come back in a second. Alright, so I've been mixing, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds or so, so I'm just going to check the consistency and see if I can get it into a little ball. And you can kind of see, if I squeeze it together here, you can see it's kind of holding. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. I think it just needs a little bit more. So I'll just take a little bit more, just like that, and I'll get that on there. And I'll get this going again. So I'll just let that go for another 30 seconds, say, and I'll come back in a second. Alright, now we'll just check that again. See, now it's nice and moist. And if I squeeze that together, you can see here that I can make a nice little ball out of it. It's not bad. I think that's good enough, because once it hits the chocolate, we're going to cover these in chocolate, and that chocolate is going to create a little shell, kind of like, you know, like an eggshell, which is going to protect this and kind of, you know, prevent it from falling apart. So there we go. Beautiful. Now, if you're making these, you know, for anyone else than your immediate family, I always suggest wear gloves, because, you know, people appreciate the fact that you did wear gloves and that you weren't, you know, getting your hands all in there and whatever. But anyway, depends on the person. Okay. so that's it for this step. So basically what you want to do, just make sure that you don't add in too much icing. Just add it in a little bit at a time and check it like I did, because you don't want to run out of cake and then all of a sudden it's too wet and you go, uh-oh, what do I do now? So if you add in the icing just a little bit at a time, you will never go wrong. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fix everything up for our next step, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, so our next step now is to grab some of our dough mixture, and I just have a little pizza pan here just to put them on. And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to roll them. You can roll them into little balls, whatever way you wish. What you want to do is get them into a cone. Okay, so I'm going to push down like this. You can go like that if you wish. You just want to basically make a cone, so it's going to be wider and flat at the bottom, but you know, kind of pointy at the top. It doesn't have to be super pointy. So just like that. You can do it that way. You can take it and just roll it slightly like this. Can you see me doing that? Just like that. So apply more pressure. See? To me that's a little bit, you know, too sharp and too high, but it all depends on what you like. And there's so many different types of hats, I guess. Who's to say what's right and what's wrong? And by the way, this is not my idea. I wish I could say that this was my idea, but this is all over the internet. And I was downtown the other day, and one of the little coffee shops had these in there for sale, $1.99 each. So there you go. Everybody's making them this year, it seems. So there we go. So there's our first one. Okay. And then I'm going to make another one here. So I'll do 3 just to show you. So I get it into a ball first, and then I just kind of roll it. And I'm just going to flatten out the bottom, because the bottom of Santa's hat is flat. There we go. There we go. There's another one. And if you've got kids, the kids will really love doing these. You can make them any size you want. So I'll just start getting it into a ball and then roll it. Now, when I made the actual dough, if you find that it's a little bit dry and it's falling apart on you, just add a little bit more icing. Okay? That one there, it doesn't look nice at all. So let's just get it like that. There we go. So now what I want to do is I just want to chill these down a little bit, just so that they hold their form. Okay? And since there's butter in that buttercream icing, when I chill these, what's going to happen is the butter is going to solidify, and it's going to, you know, help it hold its shape. You see, if you're using some kind of icing that you added to your cake mixture and it doesn't have butter in it, it's not going to be as sturdy, you know. So butter really does, you know, have its advantages. So there we go. So I've made 3 of them. Let me just lift this up, because you're probably saying I can't see them very well. Hopefully it'll focus in. Here we go. So they don't really look like much yet, but just wait. Okay, so I'm going to pop these into the fridge for a while, and I'll be back in a bit. All right. So these were in 5 minutes, and I can feel that they're pretty chilled. Okay, so remember at the beginning I showed you the white chocolate candy melts? Well, I just put those in the microwave. I used the defrost mode, okay, and heated the white chocolate up. So this is our first step, and this is important. You want to grab your little cone here, and you want to get it in there, and just dip it just a little bit. I'm going all the way down, just like that. Okay, perfect. Okay, just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stick, I'm going to pop my stick in there. There we go. Okay. And don't worry about the chocolate coming off. And just let it drip off now. Okay, so what I've done here is I've created the bottom part of the hat. But what I want to do is I'm going to do this twice because I want to have the hat a little bit thicker so that you can actually see it on the end product. So you see this? You want to, and you also want to put the chocolate on before you put the stick in because it's rather hard to do that once the stick is in. So that's our first step. And if you don't want to take this and dunk it in there, you could hold it like this and then just take your spoon and run it along the side. That's what I'm going to do the second time. Okay. So that's our first one. So I've got myself a little bit of styrofoam here and I'm just going to pop that into the styrofoam. There we go. I'll just show you that here. So here's our first one right here. Okay. Don't worry about it dripping. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the second one. I'll just grab it. You know, and if you're worried about it breaking, get a spoon or a fork or whatever you have and lift it out. There we go. And then take your stick and just gently press it in there. Whoops. Let's bring that out a little bit. See? I make mistakes. And no one will ever know because it'll all be covered up with chocolate. And there we go. And if you think we never make mistakes in the shop, haha, of course we do. We're all human. So there we go. I'm just going to let that just spin around. So I'll take that one now. And I'll place that one in my little block. Alright, so there we go. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to let these dry. Okay, I'll just show you the three that we did. So here we go. Let me just move that out of the way. And there they are. So I'm just going to let these dry for a second and then I'm just going to come back. Okay, so the cake pops have been, I just put them in the fridge and they've been in there about maybe 4 minutes. So I've just heated this up again and I've used defrost again. So that is warm and it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of our cake pops and now what we're going to do is we're going to be very, very gentle. And I don't really want to turn it right upside down. So if you're a little bit worried, take your red and tilt it to the side and then just start dipping slowly. So I'm going to try to do this slowly so you can see. And basically what we're doing now is we're building up the top of Santa's hat. And I don't want to completely go over the white. So I've got to be careful because it's very, very easy to go over the white and then you're going to have to go back and do the white again. It's very, just take your time because it's so easy to go over. So there we go. Let's say like that. That's good. Okay. So there we have. You can see already that it's starting to take shape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the red candy melt / chocolate and I'm going to use that as the glue to glue on the top little piece of Santa's hat. Now you don't have to stick it directly at the top. You can stick it wherever you wish. So you see where I'm doing it here? Let me turn the camera so you can see. Or turn my hand rather. So there we go. You see what I've done here? So I'm using the glue, right, which is our red candy melts, and that's how we're going to get that on there. Okay? So that's our next step. And we want to make sure that this is dry before we go on to our next step. Alright, what I have here is a little piece of parchment paper. You can use wax paper if you don't have parchment. This is just to catch our white chocolate. So what I'm going to do here is I have our little white sprinkles and I want those to stick to the top of Santa's hat. And you don't have to do this. You can just leave it like this. Also what I've seen is these Santa hats, instead of using jelly beans, if you want you can take a little piece of fondant and just roll it into a circle and then just, you know, pop it on the top just like we did with this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take that, I'm just going to dip it a little bit right into there, and then I'm going to take the sprinkles and just get them on there. And if you don't like that way, what you can do is you can just take them by hand and just sprinkle them on just like that. So by adding that little, little bit of melted chocolate, we're now adding another little layer, of design to our hat. So there we go. See that? And don't worry, at the end I'm going to zoom in so you'll be able to see these. Let me just, the camera might not be able to pick this up. All right. All right. Okay, now we want to fix up the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take some of our white chocolate and I'm just going to start putting it right along like this. And I'm just going to let gravity do its thing. And if you're really, really good, you can really get it moving here. And just kind of keep it in a straight line. So don't tilt it too far forward. And you want to kind of get enough on there. You can actually touch it if you want and just go around like this. So any little mistakes you can clean up. And what we're going to do is we're going to put sprinkles on this part too. So what I'm going to do now, whoops, get it like that, and then I'm going to take sprinkles and I'm going to start shaking them all the way around. I think I'm just going to put them in here, it's just easier. And you just want to take your sprinkles, hopefully I'm on camera here, and just get them all over that chocolate. Just like that. And there we go. Look at that. Doesn't that look great? Santa's hat. So these are my Santa hat cake pops. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Okay, I was just fooling. It's not the end of the video yet. So here we're going to do another one. I want to do a couple, just to give you the idea. Yeah, I know I said it was the end of the video. I was just playing, just fooling around. So let's just get a little bit on there. I don't want to get too much on the red. There we go. I think that's good enough. Okay. And then, so what I've done is I've just poured a few more of the little, the crystals in here. Now I'll just get that on there like that. These are really, really fun. I made these last week and they did not last very long at all. They were gone. There we go. A few more. There we go. Doesn't that look nice? Let me get a little closer here. Isn't that cool? Look at that. So there we go. Now we're going to do the bottom. So I'm going to get some more white chocolate. And I'm just going to get it right on there. And you know what? You don't have to be accurate, super accurate. And you can see my chocolate's dripping down onto the parchment there. It's just easier to clean up later. Well, there we go. That looks pretty good. Okay. Then I'm going to grab our sugar and just sprinkle along. Just like that. There we go. And there we go. Beautiful. Look at that. So this really is the end of the video. This time I'll say goodbye for real. So these are my Santa hat cake pops. So I hope you enjoyed this video, If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you like any of my videos, and I'll see you next time. Alright, I just heated up my green chocolate because it was getting a little bit thick. Okay, I left this in the fridge for a good 5 minutes, and the chocolate is all nicely solidified. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take the little cone, and just like we did with the Santa hat, I'm just going to get it right in there, and this time I don't have to worry about getting anything on the bottom. And I'm just going to turn it and pull it out, and then we'll just let it drip off. And if the chocolate is warmer, then it's going to, more of it's going to drip off. I've got quite a thick coating here. Now, at this point here, what you can do, you can take your little Christmas tree. At this point right here, you can take your little Christmas tree, and you can start, I'll just take the end of my spoon here, and you can just kind of make little marks in the tree. Am I on camera here? Yes. Then you can do this. Or what you can do is just stick it in your styrofoam, and then you can decorate it later with some other different colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using a little bit of white, and I'm just going to put little white areas on it to kind of make it look like snow. And there we go. And maybe we'll put a little star on it. But you can kind of see. And we're also going to dip it. I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to put this in the fridge, and I'm going to let it dry, and then we're going to dip it into the white chocolate after. So you see? So right now it doesn't really look too much, like a Christmas tree. Oh, and also right now what you could do is you could take, you could do anything you wanted. I mean, I could take, let's say I wanted to take little sprinkles. I could just take little sprinkles and just sprinkle it over, making it look like snow. Could do that. Anything that you want to do is, there are no rules. I'm just changing my idea right now on the fly. There we go. I could put different color sprinkles. But anyway, for now, I'm just going to let that dry, and I'll come back in a bit. Isn't that cute? I'll just bring over my white chocolate here, and we'll just dip that in. There we go. See? Now we've got some snow on there. See? Now if you want to add a little bit of snow everywhere, you can just kind of, you can put just little drops here and there. There we go. If you want to do, actual turns, you can, turn it as you're putting it on. See, another little technique what you can do, you can take a lot on your spoon, on the end of your spoon, and then start making a line. So just kind of turn it and just go zzz, and then what you can do is you can take your sugar and drizzle it on there, and what will happen is the sugar will only stick where the actual chocolate was. But you see, there you go, it kind of looks a little Christmassy like that. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to do another little thing here. So we'll take some of the chocolate and we'll just go around. And then what I'm going to do is I've got these little sprinkles, and we can just sprinkle it on there. Just like that. Isn't that cute? There, look at that. Beautiful. Little Christmas tree. Alright. I have a little star here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some white chocolate and just put the star right there. Can you see my star? Look at that. Is that cute? Those are just sprinkles I got at the bulk store. So there we got our little star. So beautiful.